Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
All right, Joe. Man, let's talk about last year and what you went through as a fighter. You know, you had a fight at the beginning, and then you had a fight at the end of the year. Um, just a recap of like the development that you went through last year and the changes that you made.
Yeah, all in all, I mean, it was a great year. Obviously the way it ended wasn't ideal from a career standpoint, but I think I had a great performance in February. Was able to secure a bonus for me and my family. That's always huge, um, and secure a new contract. So that's great. We made the move full time up to training at Gym O. Also started my process of teaching. I don't know if it's full time or what you would call it. I teach a couple nights a week right now. I'm running the jiu-jitsu program at the MMA gym that is Gym O. So that's huge too because it's always been a huge goal of mine, and it keeps me sharp as a teacher. It keeps my mind going, and ultimately it helps me do. Obviously I'm doing it as work too, but it also is helping me give back. Which is something that I think is huge. As an athlete, we can be so selfish and stuff, myself included, and that's just been a great step for me as well. And it's cool because the people that I teach aren't necessarily all my training partners. It's a lot of people that are just doing this for different reasons than me. They're having fun and they're learning and developing, and it keeps it really fun for me. So that's been amazing. Spending more time with my head coach Jeff Jimmo, that's been awesome. And I have my family close by. We're together now, so I don't have to leave for camp. So when you get the call for a fight, there's nothing besides okay, awesome, let's go. There's no bit of like, oh gosh, okay, I'm excited, but I got to do this thing for the next 12 weeks of being away, whatever it might be. So all that's awesome. The ending to the year was less than ideal, I think is a good way to put it. Losing sucks. It doesn't matter if it's a split decision or, whatever it might be. It sucks. There's no way around it. The circumstances were strange. I mean, obviously that's a legit win, and obviously we see like after this weekend, that's something Drakkar Close is pretty good at keeping. He has those in his back pocket. He pulled out another tricky slam. So kudos to him. It's a great win. But it's less than ideal, man. It sucks to come off that. And the thing that sucks the most was, I didn't just come back and felt awesome, but had to, eat the loss. I was kind of injured afterward, so I was able to get back in the gym on Monday and train, but I had to, nurse an injury, go through a bunch of procedures to get it right. And, what I am proud of is I didn't miss a day, maybe 1 or 2 days in those 6 months between fights from an injury, So I hold myself to a high standard, and I'm proud of that. But less than ideal. You'll obviously go through the questions of what should I have done, what could I have done, but ultimately, I'm very thankful for my faith, and this is a process that brought me deeper in that. Um, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with how the fight went because it was just it was one exchange in a fight, at the highest level. But at the same time, I see how, my motto, I always put on my fight shirts and stuff too sometimes, is like faith, family, and fighting, And when I was having thought actually last night about it, is like every time that gets out of order, I feel like God corrects me. And he's like, hey, no. Like, I know you love fighting. I know you love the vocation that I've given you, but like, that's not your identity, And all the great things I just named, that also means I'm spending all my time, involved in this thing. And it's easy to let it overtake you and, put pressure on yourself and stuff. It doesn't really matter. And all of those things. So it's been a really cool bounce back of, just drawing closer to God and my faith and spending time in reflection and prayer. And even hopping into this camp, I started to try to control things that I can't control and had to stop. And then it was like, oh, okay, I see what you're telling me. So, it's been a great, dude, any day above dirt is awesome. Any day doing what I love is awesome. But, obviously I would have liked that fight to have gone differently. But I already, in the short term, see so many of the benefits to how I can grow as an athlete, as a person, develop for, my students, my family, and, everything going forward. So long-winded answer, but all in all, it was a great year, and I'm super thankful.
All right, two things. The first thing is the injury. Was that from the slam or was that something that was there prior to the fight?
Yeah, you're trying to get me in trouble with the UFC brass. I'm not claiming any injuries that, no. It was from the slam with my shoulder. Everybody was like, oh, how was your head? I'm like, as crazy as it is, I was never out. Like, not the crazy guy going, I was going to really stop it. No, I was out, but I wasn't out. I've been knocked out once before when I fought Moto on the regional scene. And there's a time lapse, all the things, the stereotypical. What happened? I was awake for all of it, just like almost a body unconscious, like laying there like, oh, this sucks. Like, I never had to come to and, piece it together. Even to this time, I remember the 3 words the guy gave me in the back room, the doctor, as the protocol, cat, helmet, table. Like, I never had a concussion, nothing. So everybody's like, oh, how's your head? I'm like, my head's fine. I couldn't take my T-shirt off after the fight. So I mean, we ended up, trained through it. It wasn't, I just didn't feel up to my standard, of how I want to push it. So, I ended up having stem cells, PRP, a couple of cortisone shots, PT, and it's like it never happened now. But there was a while, and it may have been 6 weeks after, but I've always healed really great. I don't even cut very easy. I don't really bruise. So to feel like that and be like, dude, is this going to be something that's just like how it is forever? And then one day to come back from PRP and PT one day and just be like, oh, it's gone, awesome. So yeah, it was just a little hurdle, but again, it's one of those things like I gotta be okay not being okay. Like if that was a different type of injury, like a Weidman injury or a McGregor, and this gets taken away from me, am I okay? Am I who I say I am? Am I practicing what I say that I say I believe, like that this is God's plan, or am I just okay to say that when I go out and strangle a guy in 2 minutes and go home with 2 checks? So it was a really good perspective, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. I heard the stem cells, they're like a miracle worker, and I was speaking with somebody else that was in the same situation as you who also got slammed. They told me the exact same thing. Their shoulder was the thing that was messed them up for a couple of months after the fight.
Yeah, man. It was just the angle, I guess, but yeah, it was that. And exactly, the stem cells, I think they really helped. I didn't go to like, Mexico or, Venezuela or anything like that, or Colombia, I think it's the other one, Bioaccelerator. I went here in Charlotte, so I had them taken from my bone marrow. Super painful. Don't recommend, I recommend for sure, but I don't recommend that pain. He literally had an epidural and a silver hammer. He's a big, strong guy. He trained jiu-jitsu. Upper 200s for sure. It was like whack, whack. I was like, holy cow. But man, I didn't feel a ton as far as progress. And then I went back to the PRP booster, and that was the worst pain I've ever had in my life, which they said that was supposed to be painless. And a week later, it was like nothing ever happened. So yeah, super cool. And I didn't have to travel, across the world to do it, which is pretty great.
Yeah, great to hear, man, that you're back healthy. And you mentioned about starting this camp and trying to control things that were like out of your control. What were some of those things? It's interesting to pick those, piece those
The
together.
outcome of the fight. You hear and it's really becoming popular now with the popularity of sports psychology and different philosophies and stuff in training. But you'll hear all the Penn State guys talk about process over outcome. It's a saying, but we have to also implement that. It's great to say that, and I love the process of training. But at the same time, I have to look at it and go, I'm going to get prepared as I possibly can. But crazy things are going to happen in fights with 4-ounce gloves or fights we can slam in the head or one zig when you shoot a zag at the highest level. It is different than fighting at the regional scene. Yeah, crazy things happen at the regional scene, but when you're that much better than the guys you're fighting, the cream's going to rise most of the time. At this level, we have to be okay letting go and fighting freely, So to sit there a couple weeks into a camp, sitting there being like stressing about the result and this and that, it's like, man, let's just stress about tomorrow and get ready for, this sparring session or that. And, that's something that I think as an athlete we have to mature, just like I'm maturing in every other area of life, is this isn't the regional scene, acting like you're in control. And I would argue on some of those fights you are in control because you're fighting guys that have day jobs and, I was training since I'm 6 years old. It was kind of unfair. I'm strangling, white and blue belts in MMA fights. But at this level, it's not the same, We are fighting at the highest level, so you got to be okay riding the wave, and but training like I'm in control of absolutely everything that's going to happen, but ultimately going out there fighting freely and having a freaking blast because this is not going to last forever, and that's something that I have to remember too. I'm still young. I'm entering my prime. I feel fantastic, but at the same time, if it goes anywhere near as quick as the last 9 years have gone, I could be 40 like that, and if I don't enjoy it, what's the point of all this? Of course, it's feeding my family, but there's a lot of jobs that can do that aren't as difficult. So I want to enjoy it, along the way as well, and that's part of the process. Is enjoying the.
Yeah, this sport is so results based and also so like what have you done for me lately, type of sport. And last year you did make a lot of positive changes, but the result of the fight wasn't, the way you wanted it. How do you overcome that? How do you not let those demons get into you? And saying like, oh, did I make the right decision? Like those doubts come in as a fighter, right? As an athlete.
Yeah, well, number one is like the process. I love where I'm at. I love what I'm doing. I love who I'm around. Um, Not a knock on anybody that's at mega camps. I think those are great for a lot of guys too. But I made the joke as far as leaving town and being like, well, I'm not going to Kill Cliff or anywhere gigantic. I'd rather, if it meant I was going to lose every fight from here on out, but I get to learn from Jeff every day, be around him, have my life get better being around him, be mentored, I think I'd do it, So same with my teammates, and as well with getting to coach and my students now. Like, it's such a rewarding process. I said it the other day to my buddy. We were talking about, family and legacy and faith and all these things. And I was like, man, like, at the end of my life, if I believe if what I believe is true, then I'm going to have to stand before God and give an account for my life. And it has to be more than just, hey, God, I cracked the top 15. I bought home 2 checks. That is super important to me. And I'd be a liar if I stood before you and said that's not. I want the same things every other prize fighter wants. But at the same time, there's a lot to it, and I'm in a spot where I'm able to do all the things that, go beyond just fighting. They transcend fighting. And I feel that growth as a human. And I also know that any errors are either my own or just variables from fighting being crazy, that I'm in the best hands possible, man. If you line up every coach in the world, I'm taking Jeff Jimmo every time. And, go on Anakin Florian podcast. Listen to Ray Longo talk about Jeff, he had been around him for Fight Week for Weidman. He was blown away. And that guy's seen everything under the sun in this game. So I know I'm in the right spot. It's just a matter of executing, and that is really what I do best. I think I step up so well and perform so well that when something doesn't go your way like that in crazy circumstances, from mistakes I made, I ended up on the bottom of the fight. But it is hard to accept, But you just sit there, you process it. And I'm a big humor. Humor's my vessel, I was making jokes in the back, because yes, in that moment, it is the worst thing ever, but, it's become funnier and funnier, and just, we break each other's balls and everything else. And sorry, that was my social media timer for the day, blocking me off. One of the other things I've made, just quieting the noise, But honestly, last summer when I was talking to my grandfather when he was down visiting, he was telling me a funny story about something that, personal, and he was like, oh, it seemed like the worst day ever. And now I look at that story so much and I laugh so hard. And he was like, and I put the quote in my phone. He wasn't even trying to be like quotable. And he was like, remember what you think of the worst days of your life, because they're going to be the best and the funniest memories, And this is before the fight happened. And it really is true. I've made so many jokes and stuff while I'm teaching class or showing an armbar or something from the fight. And you can see even the students are like kind of hesitant to laugh. I'm like, guys, it's all right. Like, this stuff happens, So it's funny when you see newer guys to the sport lose and they unravel, they get so mad, they're throwing stuff in the back. Like I said in a couple interviews, like, this did not mess with my love for what I do at all, And I think I'm so stubborn and love what I do so much. If you were like, hey, Joe, every fight you have from here on out is going to end like that, I'm like, okay, I'm still going to do the camps and make the walk because maybe I can change it. And also, I really love this. Like, it might just be worth it to go out there and compete and try to change the outcome. So, this isn't my first rodeo with adversity. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't really feel like self-destruction is an option.
Now, June 1st, you go from Jakar Close, who's most likely a top 15 fighter, very underrated in the division, to Grant Dawson, who's kind of like in that similar boat, right? Somewhat underrated, but a big name, a ranked guy. How do you feel about like getting this type of matchup? After the close fight.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like a mulligan. I mean, I guess Grant is fighting back in the rankings with me a little bit. I'm still pretty high up there too, But I feel like they were just like he had a crazy outcome in his fight, I don't know that Bobby Green wouldn't have beat him anyway. I don't know. We don't know. Same with me and Jakar. But I feel like they were just like, hey, stuff happens. Fight it out. One of you is moving on toward the top, and then one of you takes a step back. That's what it feels like. At least I feel like they both see us in the same light as before the fight. Maybe I'm delusional, but that's what it seems like. And I love it. I think it's a great challenge. I think I moved on to where I'd probably be fighting in the rankings had I beaten Jakar, which is kind of strange, but also a great opportunity. I just think it's as great of a fight as any other fight for me. Every fight at this level is super tough. And, in there with Jakar, there was never a time where I went, oh, man, I'm really outgunned, outmatched, and I should have been fighting somebody ranked this high with this much experience. Like, if you watch the beginning of that fight, there was nowhere where, if anything, it was, and this isn't a knock on him, I just watched him crush it this weekend, and glad to see it. But it did not feel like I thought it was going to feel. I felt like when I got a hold of him, I was like, holy cow, like, I train with guys that are, physically stronger and scramblier and more technical than this every single day, So I think this is that same type of matchup. It's a great matchup. It's a guy doing great things. The other thing, it's the guy that has my respect. And I love fighting guys that I respect because it's the pure essence of competition, right? It's like when you watch, college wrestling or the Olympic trials, like there's not as much pageantry. It's just, yeah, like I know, and some guys that are even teammates, compete for that spot. They're like, yeah, I know I respect this guy and he seems like a fine guy, but only one of us can move on, and that's how it's going to be. It's a sport, And I kind of like that. Whereas, you got your car weigh-ins kind of being a knucklehead. And, it's fine. It doesn't mess with me. But I'd much rather fight somebody like Grant Dawson, where this is pure competition. He's really good. I think I'm really, really good. And let's see who's moving on.
Yeah, the styles are completely different, though. What do you think of Grant Dawson's style? A lot of movement. He's very like he's always moving.
Yeah. He's very persistent in the grappling. There's no secret what he's trying to do. Whereas I think my style, because I didn't come up wrestling like that, is I set it up a little better. Not better, but different. I definitely mix in strikes more. A lot of my fights I've gone in, even with guys that are more kickboxer based. And, my plan has been to stay on the feet for a little bit. Maybe whether it happens or it doesn't, maybe they throw a lazy kick or something. He's coming out to wrestle, and to grapple. But at the same time, when I look at the fight, I go, okay, worst case scenario, he implements his game plan. It is still right in my wheelhouse. I've been competing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu since I'm 6 years old. And I do think I have, those guys in the UFC that have very good grappling. I think, I fought some, Jim Miller, Jared Gordon. And even like Jared Gordon, I lost the grappling exchange and ended up on the bottom at one point. There's a difference between, very good MMA grappling and, rough around the edges, and then elite grappling, and I feel very confident saying I have elite grappling on the floor. And I think that's where, he's never fought anybody like me, and I've never really fought anybody like him that's looking to aggressively take me to the floor. So really intriguing matchup, fun to train for, and completely different than any other fight in my career where, we're usually saying stay safe, close distance, put him on their butt. We don't know in this one. Like, I don't rule out taking him down and putting him on his back. But I also know I have a great shot in the kickboxing to really show all the strides I've made. So really cool opportunity, exciting, and he's coming to fight. So I'll be right there to test him.
What do you think? What do you envision for yourself? I envision a lot of scrambles, man, because you guys can both grapple, but the styles are different, But I see you attacking a lot on the ground. I see a fun fight. What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, I say to people I ask in the gym all the time, they'll look around like I'm going to give them top secret info, like, hey, you ready? What's going to happen? I don't know, man. That's why I show up on fight week. And, that's why we're all a little uneasy driving to the arena. We don't freaking know. But that being said, I can totally see it being that way. I've got power, man, and I've got speed, and I've cracked guys pretty darn good where I've turned my striker opponents before, like Hubbard and stuff, into quick grapplers. So, I want to test his chin. I want to test his neck. I want to test my wrestling and take him down or stuff his takedowns. Like, that's what's so fun is, like, this is a fight where I feel like, yeah, we know we have to definitely train for a specialist, but I also have to just kind of be me and make my reads and go with my instincts I've been training my entire career and, life before that. So I know that sometimes, two grapplers becomes a kickboxing match. But I think if that happens, he's game. I know I'm game. So that could be fun for the fans too and fun for us. But if it becomes scrambles, I think even people that don't know grappling will be pretty darn impressed with what we can both do on the floor.
You've had a few great mentors, through your career. You mentioned Jimmo earlier. John Salter was another person, or is another person. But then you also have like Chris Weidman, someone that has this story of like becoming a champion so quick and then breaking his leg, and a lot of adversity, like extreme adversity. Having someone in the gym like that, how does that help you?
Yeah, I think he leads by a great example. And like you said, I've had a lot of great mentors. And the biggest thing is they've all been at different stages in life than me. Peers are fantastic. And, I have plenty of great peers that I train with every single day. And some guys that, are behind me a couple years. Like I was behind John and Scott Holtzman and Weidman. But, I think exactly that is you have that example to look up to, to this day. I talk to John all the time. He's going to come up and train. I'm going to go back there, this summer a lot and train. And, he carried me through so many different things like, being young and struggling without having that income coming in and chasing your dreams. And he did that exact thing, and that really helped me. Weidman, same thing. He's walking the walk, to watch him go out there and consistently be bold and be brave. And I think that's the right word, that can be overused. Like we talk about nerves and stuff with fight week, that's different. Everybody's nervous, but to go back out there, with that severe injury, it was life-changing. They were talking about, this isn't inside info. I'm only getting it from the interviews like you guys are. I never sat with Chris, I sit with Chris a lot and talk, but I never sat and was like, hey, Chris, what's it like to see your bone hanging out? I don't want to bring that up. But you watch the interviews talking about amputation, like scary stuff, I would call that, I would imagine he's probably pretty scared before a fight, having to face that again, not once, but twice, coming back in the win column, and just seeing him come in here and train every single day, going through the process. That's a huge inspiration. I think that speaks volumes. That's a guy that is not going to be denied and is going to squeeze every last drop out of what he's been given by God. And same thing. We both share the same faith, and That's inspirational, and listening to the guys that are around him on fight week and what he does and how he carries himself and how he relies on his faith, and just greatly inspirational. But it's funny. I look up to Weidman a long time ago before I ever, he ever set foot in this gym. When I was training at a Sarah affiliate in Myrtle Beach back in the day, it's not open anymore, but that's where I started my MMA career at. And we would go up and cross train with the guys in Long Island. And dude, I would stay up and watch Weidman's interviews all the time when I was broke and coming up, and because I felt like I could relate to him. Has a good background. He's a clean cut guy, just a hard worker, no trash talk. And man, I look up to him so much. So to be training with him and get to follow some of his examples, pretty cool too.
Yeah, definitely. And on June 1st, after you fight, in the main event, the lightweight title is on the line. Islam versus Poirier. Poirier's getting his shot, another shot. What do you think of that matchup? Do you feel like Islam is that guy in the division, and it's going to be very, very difficult to beat him?
I do think he is that guy. Like he's definitely the real deal, and I think he's going to be a tough out for anybody. But I think the advantage there is that he stands a little more than Khabib did because his stand-up's better. It's very good. But with Poirier, he may want to follow Khabib's game plan and just run at him and get a hold of him. Poirier's dangerous, man. But I think we're all, obviously your media, you have to be unbiased, quote unquote. But I think we're all Poirier fans. We all want to see Poirier pull it off. I'm fighting one of Poirier's teammates. I want to see Poirier pull it off. Like everybody loves that guy. If you have a heart that pumps blood, you love Dustin Poirier. So I'm pulling for him. But I think he's dangerous too, man. He can get his neck. He can do a bunch of things. He's been in scraps. If I had to bet, I would bet on Islam, but I'm pulling for Poirier, and I think that's a cool main event to be on the undercard for. And I said it in a bunch of interviews, I think, but my favorite fighters of all time, I got Jim Miller, Frankie Edgar, Dustin Poirier, Chris Weidman, Damian Maia, and more, but those are like my top 5 probably. And I've now fought on Edgar's undercard, Poirier's undercard, God willing, make it to the fight healthy. Train with Chris Weidman every single day or all the time. Fought Jim Miller, this is cool stuff. So to be on that undercard and to get done, hopefully, go out there, get a W, go in the back room or back to the Airbnb and watch, maybe Poirier pull off the upset of a lifetime and walk away. It would be pretty special, pretty cool.
UFC 302, New Jersey. You're back in the Northeast, man. How does that feel for you?
Oh man, it's awesome. I haven't fought up there in a long, long time. The closest I've gotten was my debut in 2019 in Washington D.C. A couple hours away, But to actually be back I fought, all my regional fights up in Jersey and Philadelphia. So to be back close to home, it's like 90 minutes. I have family there, some friends, and some guys I used to train with. Like it's just cool stuff. I'm gonna go a little early, get settled in a couple days, go see my old gym at Hassett Jiu-Jitsu and John Hassett and those guys. I was laughing. I'm like, dude, they may say something different now, but ask any of those guys if they thought they'd be buying tickets to come watch me at a UFC pay-per-view card one day. They're full of it if they tell you anything other than absolutely not. So to be back there, it's pretty special. My family can come, and just awesome, man. It's just all this stuff is just blessings. It's just stuff for the grandkids at this point, man. Like these are rocking chair stories we're gonna tell for a long, long time. Of fighting great opponent. That's the thing is you asked about fighting a tough opponent, going up in the rankings, all this stuff. Like, yeah, this is what we're gonna be talking about one day. But if God willing, I make it to that rocking chair. You're not going to talk about trying to pick low-hanging fruit of a guy that was on a 3-fight losing streak and trying to get an easy check. While that seems appealing sometimes in your life, you want to go after what the cool stuff is, And I think walking back in front of my home crowd to fight what might be or is on the cusp of a ranked opponent, pretty darn awesome. What a blessing. So, yeah, man, have my family with me there. My wife will get to come. We're out in the Apex. So, just awesome all the way around. So can't wait. Super excited and ready to go.